I see these two sides headed towards a divorce in time. The only question is, when is that divorce going to happen and how is it going to happen?
I think the NFL Players Association needs to get involved. I think the NFL needs to get involved because I think that's flagrant taking advantage, that's flagrant abuse of a player.
The Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones are known for paying their players last minute and going through contract holdouts that take months. Just a few days ago, it seemed like the cycle would repeat with Micah Parsons, and finally this contract drama would blow over. But now Micah Parsons is one yes away from being traded to an NFC rival. How do we know that this isn't all because Jerry Jones won't pay him? Well, just ask him yourself.
I have agreed to give more money than has ever been given in terms of guaranteed money than anyone ever has as far as a defensive player.
Jerry Jones isn't entirely blameless in this situation, but neither is Micah Parsons and his agent David Mulugheta. There's been accusations of tampering, predatory behavior, and lack of leadership, but what if I told you all this smoke led to no fire? What if I told you this is all a part of Micah Parsons' plan to become the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history? NFL season's around the corner and Dak Prescott just needs one passing yard in order for his square to hit. Guys, you can sign up with my promo code Microphone to get a free $50 in lineups when you play $5 or more on PrizePicks. Once you get that, use $25 on this lineup here to make $131. I've already been making picks so I can snipe the best lines early on. And in this case, I'm pairing Dak Prescott to get one passing yard, which is a free square, with Kyren Williams getting a touchdown at any point and Justin Jefferson scoring a touchdown versus the Chicago Bears. On top of that, if you want more plays, I've created an incredible Discord community of experts in the WAP link in the description down below. And thank you, PrizePicks, for today's sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? On the surface, this Micah Parsons Jerry Jones feud is very simple. Micah Parsons has approached Jerry in the past about extensions, and Jerry Jones has pushed him off until the final year of his contract. Now that it's here, Micah wants his money, and notoriously cheap owner Jerry Jones just won't pay him, so he's pretty much forcing Micah Parsons into requesting a trade. You would think this is clean cut and over, right? Well, you couldn't be more wrong. Let's go back to March really quickly, where Jerry Jones claimed he had a handshake deal in place with Parsons to give him the most guaranteed money in defensive history. Here's what happened when he tried to send the details over to Parsons' agent, at least according to Jerry Jones.
Yeah, Mike and I talked, and then we were going to send it over to the agent. The agent told us to stick it up our ass.
Now, I said in my last video that this report is a little sketchy. I mean, Jerry Jones is notorious for doing this with all of his players, whether it was Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and now Micah Parsons. I mean, there's a reason why CeeDee Lamb came out and tweeted in support of Micah when Micah originally demanded a trade. But if you ask Micah Parsons, apparently he thought they just agreed to a starting point, as in there was more negotiating to be done between Jerry Jones and his agent. Not only that, but they're saying that they never told Jerry Jones to stick it up his ass at all. If that was the case and Jerry Jones is lying, then why did Parsons' agent not try to negotiate with Jones based off of the terms that they agreed to start on? Something just doesn't add up here. It's a gigantic game of he said and she said, but we don't really know what side we should take here. But if we can take one thing away from this situation, it's that Jerry Jones should not be negotiating with Parsons by himself. According to the NFL's collective bargaining agreement, if a player is represented by an agent or agency, they must be present for contractual negotiations. Jerry Jones literally admitted to violating the NFL Players Association's collective bargaining agreement. If that entire event isn't weird enough, well, listen to this. Jerry Jones decided to publicly take a shot at Micah Parsons for not being healthy, despite the fact that he's missed 4 games in 4 seasons.
Just because we signed him doesn't mean we're going to have him. He was hurt 6 games last year. Seriously.
Now turned into a personal argument with the greatest defensive player that has ever been on the Dallas Cowboys since the year 2000. I mean, what changed? Just a few years ago, Jerry Jones was saying this to Micah Parsons. Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons went from a father-son dynamic to Parsons deleting all of the Cowboys posts on his social media, posting cryptic TikToks, and literally demanding a trade out of Dallas, and refusing to sign a deal that would give him more guaranteed money than TJ Watt. But why? I could point to Jerry Jones being a self-admitted masochist and pretty much dragging on negotiations so the media outlets could talk about his team a little bit more.
The Cowboys are a soap opera 365 days. When it gets slow, I'll stir it up. There's controversy. that controversy is good stuff in terms of keeping and having people's attention.
Or I could point to the Cowboys not wanting to sign Parsons because they're worried about him retiring and becoming a Vikings cheerleader. But more shockingly, Jerry Jones actually told us why a deal has not been done straight to our face.
Really, nothing.
So why don't you talk?
Again, nothing.
When asked why he's not negotiating with Parsons, he said that there's no reason. So Jerry Jones sent over the contract that would give Parsons the most guaranteed money in defensive history, and they just didn't answer? I mean, this means Parsons and his agent are simply refusing to work with Jerry Jones. And here's where the tampering gets involved. Micah Parsons' agent, David Mulugheta, has a very popular, effective, yet painstakingly awful way to get a deal done, and that's by basically holding his clients hostage. Mulugheta has represented players like Deshaun Watson, Jalen Ramsey, Michael Thomas, and Jesse Bates. And what do all these players have in common? They either held out, refused to play, or refused to sign an extension with their current team. This resulted in signing a new deal elsewhere or resetting the market with their current team. Basically, David Mulugheta is getting in the way of Micah Parsons becoming a Dallas Cowboy for the rest of his career. And this isn't just speculation, this came straight from the horse's mouth.
So many times in this industry, you have a different agenda going on with agents, a different agenda. They're playing a game. You tell me, are agents incentivized to not only get the most for that player, but they're trying to get what? They're trying to get other players because they got a high agenda for that player.
And honestly, historically, I've always been against Jerry Jones in this particular instance. But it seems like there's now an agent that is trying to take Jerry Jones for all that he's worth because he knows Jerry Jones's tactic. Let's connect some of the dots here. Who is one of David Mulugheta's highest paid clients? Jordan Love. What team is said to be the most interested in Micah Parsons? The Green Bay Packers. In fact, it's already been reported that the Packers have a deal in place to trade for Parsons and then give him a contract to make him the highest paid defensive player in NFL history, with a deal averaging $45 million per year. There's just one problem. How do they do this? They don't have permission to reach out to Micah and offer a contract. That's tampering. That's the textbook definition of contractual tampering. So here's the deal. David Mulugheta is single-handedly making this entire thing worse. If you don't think Mulugheta is in Parsons' ear telling him to lie down on the trainer's cart during games, post cryptic TikToks, and demand a trade, then you have to be delusional. This is Mulugheta's playbook. The funny thing is, it's worked. Parsons' teammates support his decision to hold out. ESPN and sports media are burying Jerry Jones alive, and I can't blame them because historically Jerry Jones has been on the wrong side of negotiations, and now Micah Parsons is a media darling.
Guess who has to be comfortable for this to work?
Micah.
And who else?
You.
Hello. There's not room for a third.
Let me make one thing very clear before I say what I'm about to say. Jerry Jones is a phenomenal owner. The way that he's able to market the Dallas Cowboys and make them the most valuable franchise in all of sports is incredibly impressive. The Dallas Cowboys brand is one of the most recognizable brands in all of sports, despite them not making it to an NFC championship in 30 years. I have to watch a Netflix documentary so I can relive the glory days because I was 2 years old during the glory days. But that aside, the one thing that's historically always screwed over Jerry Jones is the fact that he is the general manager of the team and he likes to micromanage his team. And if he hasn't done that, he would have easily won more Super Bowls. If he only focused on the business aspect of the Dallas Cowboys, Cowboy fans would absolutely love Jerry Jones. But Jerry Jones' selection in head coaches, his negotiating tactics with his star players, has always been why the Dallas Cowboys have not been able to get over the hump since the triplet years. He's a great owner, but he's a terrible general manager, so much so that I'd say it tips the scales of him overall just being a horrific owner as a result of it. And as a result of Jerry Jones's handling of this situation, he's made this situation with Parsons way more personal and put it under such a large microscope that it's evolved into the media nightmare it is now. He has objectively made this situation worse, but so has Micah Parsons' agent, David Mulugheta. If it's true that he's reached out to his other clients' team since he knows that they have money and negotiated a contract with them for Parsons without consent from Jerry Jones? It's the most obvious tampering of all time. But let's just say all of that's fake and it's just a rumor. Let's just say all the reports are fake and the Packers have nothing concrete set up with Dallas at all. Hell, let's just say that this is a rumor that was leaked out to the media to apply pressure to the Jones family. Then at minimum, Mulugheta is using the Packers as leverage to get Micah Parsons as much money as possible. So let me tell you what I believe the most likely outcome here is. If you look around sports media right now, you'll find contradicting reports everywhere. PFT commenter, who was right about the Adam Thielen trade 5 days before it happened, reported that the Packers are in on Parsons. But at the same time, if you ask around Green Bay, they'll tell you something completely different. I mean, Matt Schneidman said this on the Pat McAfee show.
If Jerry Jones isn't listening to legitimate trade offers, then I'm not sure that one is technically on the table. It's semantics.
Christian Watson's father, who works for local media, says he has sources saying that there's nothing in place at all. Basically, what I'm saying is don't believe what you hear from national reporters. Remember, Mulugheta's strategy is to manipulate the media so fans think their ownership is in the wrong, so the player can either A, get as much money as possible due to ownership feeling pressure from the fans, or B, request a trade and get paid somewhere else. So when I see Adam Schefter saying something like this,
I see these two sides headed towards a divorce in time.
I personally have a tough time believing it, and I don't think it's delusional. I'm not saying it's definitely not going to happen. I'm just saying I'm more inclined to believe that David Mulugheta is just trying to use the Packers as leverage to get Jerry Jones to sign Micah Parsons. This makes the most sense as well, considering if the Packers were tampering, which they would be by negotiating with Parsons without Jones's approval. And the NFL would already know, and we would have already seen an investigation being launched. To be honest, I'm more confused about why the NFL's completely ignoring Jerry Jones admitting to breaking the collective bargaining agreement, but I'll just chalk that up to Jerry being Jerry. To be honest, this is one of the most confusing, hectic, and complex contract holdouts I've ever seen. At the end of the day, even if you think David Mulugheta is being manipulative for the sake of getting his client the most money possible, that's just his job, even though it's a little twisted. At the end of the day, this is Jerry Jones's fault. He could have easily signed Micah Parsons to a contract extension 2 years ago and would have easily had enough cap space to sign Saquon Barkley last offseason and also build up the rest of the Dallas Cowboys significantly more. You could have probably robbed the Philadelphia Eagles of a Super Bowl if you did this. But Jerry Jones just chose a cheap way to consistently have his team in the headlines by dragging on this negotiation for way too long. At the end of the day, whether the Cowboys extend Parsons or not, I don't think they're going to even make it to the playoffs this year. At least if you retain one of the best defensive players in Cowboys history, at least you'll retain most of your fan base and they won't revolt against you. At the end of the day, I don't really think Jerry Jones cares about all that, but let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this. Aside from that, I don't know if you guys heard, there's a football player that just ate his way out of the NFL. We have a completely separate video on that. I'm going to leave it in the end screen to meet you guys there. I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.